Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk, KGVO. Hey, good morning. As always, thank you for being part of Missoula Real Estate Today. We sure appreciate that. And speaking of estate, we're going to talk estate sales today. Our guest is Marty Bell with Blue Jay Estate Sales. Welcome to the program. Your first time ever, I think, right?
Yeah, thank you, Denny, and also Diane Beck for thinking of me. This is the first time I've been with you, Denny. Yes, sir.
Terrific. We always start by getting acquainted a little bit. What is Blue Jay Estate Sales, Marty, and what services do you offer?
Sure. Blue Jay Estate Sales, I am an estate liquidator. That is, I am a person who can liquidate the contents of an estate simply because the real estate is sold or heaven forbid, somebody's lost somebody. But when people need to remove the personal effects by sale on site, they call me and we can facilitate arranging the on-site sale, occasionally an off-site sale.
Right.
And then if folks need later removal services, be it to a landfill or thrift stores, we have phone numbers that they can contact. So we make sure that we don't leave anybody hanging halfway. But we are we sell the personal effects in a house every week of my life for the last 12 years.
I said with Blue Jay Estate Sales, you are Blue Jay Estate Sales. You own that. Your background, how you got involved with this?
Sure, Denny. Once upon a time, I specialized in individual objects. I was a picker, as it were. Kind of had a specialty niche in mid-century objects and items, say 30s through 70s type things. And it occasioned that had to go look at a few pieces in a complete home. The idea of selling the entire home was brought up, and I said, okay. And that was July of 2009, and I have not looked back ever since because it was a service that was sorely needed full-time in Western Montana. And there are other folks who do it part-time, and they do a fine job. And just we'd kind of hit a niche. And so went from selling specialty items to general wholesale liquidations, as it were.
So it was interesting. You said you took an interest in mid-20th century, like, say, 30s through 70s objects. Was that just because there was a lot of availability when you first started, or there was just something about those years that kind of appealed to you?
I think all of us have interest in our lives that we can't ever understand why, that I think catches our eye. And I had another business with some of those items in there. And that's just been in terms of periods of art and history that appealed to me. And I do have, full disclosure, a genetic background of my grandfather ran pawn stores in the Tri-Cities, Washington, and the resale business. But those items at the time, they were becoming more and more popular in the resale market. So fortunately, what I liked actually was able to also provide me with an income. I got lucky there.
Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Marty Bell with Blue Jay Estate Sales. Marty, go ahead and explain what an estate sale is and how it differs from, say, an auction or general garage, yard, or warehouse type sale.
Sure. Here's the short form. We, if I can be of service to the client's needs and hopes, we just turn the house into a store. Bottom line, items are priced. Large items have a pull tag. Small items are priced or unpriced. Anything valuable or fragile is brought to a buy here, pay here site right at the cashier's table. And so that's it. We literally turn a person's house into a store and run it theoretically as a business liquidation over a 2 to 3 day period. The difference in that is I set the prices versus an auction. And so I sort of cap the prices, but the convenience of my format is folks don't have to wait for the item to come up. They can get it, get out, and get on with their day. Where if I was at an auction, there's nothing, again, the auctions are great. The auctioneers here in Western Montana are friends of mine. You wait for your item there. But mine, you're in, you're out, you're gone. That's sort of my pitch to a lot of buyers that may not be inclined to go to 57 garage sales, or maybe be there all day in an auction in hopes that their items would come up. Again, they're all good programs. Mine's fast and done.
Yeah. Describe the process. Somebody contacts you. They get a hold of Blue Jay Estate Sales, and they want to do an estate sale. What happens from there?
Sure. I get a phone call, and the best thing that I can do is to get over to the person's property, home or business, and have a look around. And I'm thinking three things: quantity, quality, complexity, in terms of the fees I might need to charge, and also I listen to the client's needs. Do they need to make a lot of money and get all of it gone? So I'm thinking those things. What are the client's needs? Mm-hmm. And so generally I will walk around the house, and they'll share with me the story of their lives or their family's lives while they're showing me the items, because all items seem to have their own micro history.
Of course.
And I love that. I mean, that's every week I go down the rabbit hole of somebody's new amazing life that I didn't know. And it's never the same thing twice. So they'll walk me through and share with me tales, show me items they need to keep and not keep. And I'm thinking, hey, how many, the size of the crew, how do I arrange this? And a little bit, you really can't guess how much money's in a sale. I know the average. So I'll walk through and I'll say, hey, I think I can be of service to you guys. I think we can produce an income, and I think we can get, a certain amount gone. And every once in a while, folks might have greater hopes than I think I can realistically meet. And I'll be honest with them.
Right.
And see if they can maybe see through my eyes. But I would never mislead. I would never promise anybody a miracle to get a job. And sometimes folks are more hopeful than what I can produce. And I'm okay with that. But generally, we come to an agreement that, hey, Marty can sell most of this. There will be about this much left afterwards. And here's a phone number or two to help you. So again, so that I don't leave the client hanging. And that's that. We rinse and repeat every 7 days. When I'm busy, I'll do that twice a week sometimes.
Can that be a real challenge, or maybe a bone of contention between you and your customers as far as pricing items?
Sure.
Yeah,
that is, and bone of contention is, if I'm worried that there's going to be bones in contention, I will recuse myself immediately.
Well, you know what I'm.
Yeah.
Somebody who has to do an estate sale, they're going to put there's going to be the sentimental value attached to the value, right?
Correct. There's the internet value, the emotional value, and then the real time value. And I'm in the business of reality, so I kind of have fun with them on those things. And I say, hey, if it's important to your heart, or you think that the internet showed you a magical number or a TV show, you keep it. I'm okay with that. You keep the important stuff, and you just leave what you're ready to let go. Keep that black and white line. And so I kind of jokingly address that issue, and that the internet's a very dangerous place to get any information. But I will often walk them through on the internet to at least help them find where I might pull some of my values if the items are unique. I kind of pull them behind the curtain of the Great Oz. I'm the magician that tries to explain the magic tricks to the audience so that they don't feel excluded. I want people to feel part of what I'm doing, that I'm not some incredibly smart person and they're not. I want to share. This is a very sharing, equitable thing. So, I tell them, hey, if it's important to you, you keep it. I'm okay with it. And that usually is good enough right there. Okay. I don't wish to offend. There's no doubt that they themselves couldn't get rid of me, the middleman, and wait for an attorney to get whatever price they deem worthy. And I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm there to be of service, and I don't want to, I'm not a greedy guy. And I want them to feel good that Marty wasn't making it up just to get the sale.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Marty Bell. Marty has Blue Jay Estate Sales. And Marty, this show is airing the first weekend in August on News Talk KGVO. But I'm thinking this is fairly top of mind. You just conducted a 3-day sale last week. Can you talk about what all was involved there?
Oh, sure. We did a project last week, and it was an interesting project. There were some outbuildings, and there was a house. And there was basically also in a large shop, almost a whole nother house that of other items that had never been sort of unpacked, as it were. And so we had to do a little unpacking and going through boxes. Sometimes you walk into a home and everything's just perfectly arranged. But this one was, the boxes were about 8 feet high and about 40 feet deep. And so it was a bit of a treasure hunt for us. And so what we did is we went through with my little pricing crew and went through the boxes. If it was items of extreme value or fragile, we, again, pulled those out and we put those by the cashier table. So I had a team going through boxes, and that so that was a labor intensive, but it was fun. We found some goodies in there, and so we destacked and we decluttered, and that was a lot of labor to arrange the boxes. And on that point, it was one of those sales where we don't high grade an entire house and then make 2 or 3 really fancy rooms. We like to leave the items where they lie.
Okay.
For a couple reasons. Moving, again, if it's valuable or fragile, we'll take it out of the collection and make it a separate area to buy. But people like to poke around, the concept of the treasure hunt. We watch the TV shows where it's more fun to see an old barn that's dilapidated than walk into a perfectly arranged house. People love the treasure hunt.
Sure.
And so we leave that. And also, we do that. We leave everything about where it is. Again, within reason, after we destack to one layer and declutter. But people use the photographs on the website as kind of the visual map of where items are. And if we shoot it one way and then move everything and restage it, they kind of lose the crowd loses its flow of where to go. And so we kind of let it naturally happen. Mm-hmm. We've been through the boxes, and it's fun. It's the treasure hunt component. We don't wish to make it an artificial experience. It's pretty organic how we run these things.
You talked about your preliminary meeting, the get acquainted process with the prospective seller, and a little history of a lot of the items. And it obviously depends on how many items are involved. But what is a typical setup and prep time that goes into a sale? And my goodness, it sounds like you got a lot to do.
The prep time, here's the amazing part. The most important part is to let this be out there on my website in photographs for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks out. In terms of my time, my footprint in somebody's life who's lost somebody or their real estate sold, my footprint's generally pretty light. Let's call it an hour for meeting photographs. An average sale, we can usually get it priced in about 3 hours. Again, if we get into very complicated collectibles, obviously we need more time to think about things. Or if we get in, like we talked about the sale last week, the 9-foot high box stack, then that's going to be a full day because either we need more brain time or more destacking time. But generally, in 3 to 4 hours, we can get a house. An average home can be priced. Sale day is generally 5 to 8 p.m. on a weeknight.
Wow.
That's kind of the magic time. That's where people who can get off work can come to the sales.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's really the magic. And so there's 3 hours that first night, and generally we can sell down a sale the next day, 9 to noon, to the point where there's items of no further value or garage sale. So I would say my footprint in most people's lives run at about 8 to 12 hours from the time we meet to run the sale to, thank you so much. And also we pay people the same business day. They don't have to wait for their money. But so our footprint, I really tamped it down because a lot of people have either a lot of grief to contend with or family members to appease or I'm just a part of this bigger, Diane Beck sold the property and Marty's got to come in. There's a bigger thing there. So I'd say 8 to 12 hours I can be in and out of somebody's life because I don't want to be any more invasive than I have to be.
Gosh, that's amazing. I'm glad you brought this up, just before my next question here because Marty Bell, Blue Jay Estate Sales, our guest this week on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere. Marty, I am guessing that to your point a minute ago, these sales are oftentimes conducted because they have to be, rather than because your customers want to. There's been a death in the family, financial hardship, etc. Yeah, you have to be able to offer reassurance that your customer's estate will be handled with the utmost respect, right? And that one-on-one relationship that you have is probably pretty important.
And that's actually, Danny, that is the whole thing of what I do. I'm in the business of stuff, but I'm not really. I'm in the business of people. And I had 2 very people-oriented careers previous to this, and I've sort of brought the people component, the person component to this business, and they want to know that you are sincerely engaged with them. And that can be so easy to almost sound insincere in your condolences.
Yeah.
And they can smell that. I mean, I live in Montana. I've had 2 or 3 great careers. A lot of people know me. I love what I do. I'm a pretty happy guy. And I explain to the clients in these hardship cases that there's always these 2 conflicting emotions are happening. The client that I serve can often have, bittersweet chapter closing or some heavy duty grief. And yet I've got to make this positive, fun experience necessary to take care of a part of their burden. And so I have these 2 emotions intersecting. And then I tell the clients, I don't forget that, that they've got a heavy duty chapter they've got to close, and yet I've got to make this very positive experience. And they understand that. And I say, at the best, we can get at least some of these, chapters of your life to new and happy homes and make some happiness out there out of a heavy situation. And I'm happy to kind of work with those 2 emotions, and that again, this is not a stuff business. This is a people business, because each of those items has history. It has memory. People tell me they struggle more with letting go of the teacup than they do of the property sometimes.
Yeah. Have you ever had a sale that it wasn't a sale? I mean, just for whatever reasons, whether it was the items or time of year, just nothing, hardly any items sold, or there just wasn't enough to meet expectation. What do you do? Do you reset?
No.
Do you do a redo, a mulligan? What happens there?
And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to spin this any other way. Look, we live in Montana, man. People love stuff. I have never had a sale that fell on its face. The event took. They take care of themselves. People love garage sales. They love auctions. They love estates in Montana. I wish I could tell you. I'll tell you the one story where I almost thought that happened. So years ago, Blue Jay was really rocking and rolling. I was doing a very famous Bitterroot Valley family. Their collection was well known. We took it to the fairgrounds. I mean, they're famous. Blue Jay's getting some fame. Man, we're gonna crush it. It's gonna be the greatest sale ever. It was during a rainstorm, and so I opened up the fairground door to welcome the people in. Now I'm expecting 150 to 200 people at this very famous sale. I opened the door. There are literally 6 people at the door.
Oh, boy.
In the rain. So I was getting to open the door and give him my little spiel. So I go, excuse me. I closed the door. My hair turned gray. I developed heart problems. I'm thinking I'm going to move to Canada and live with my dogs in a trailer till I die. I failed. So I gathered my wits, and I'm thinking what I'm going to tell the clients, like, I'm sorry. But anyway, I opened the door back up to those 6 people in the rain, and I happened to pop my head around the corner of the building. The corner of the building had an awning on it, and there were 150 people out of the rain. I couldn't see, and basically I almost gave myself a heart attack. Yeah. And so it turned out great. So I thought I had choked. They were merely hiding under the eaves.
Yeah.
And that 3-day sale sold out by the next day at noon.
That is a pretty darn good batting average right there.
Yeah.
We are doing a real estate show presented by Diane Beck at Windermere. What is your relationship, Marty, with Diane Beck, the Beck team, and realtors in general? Where do your paths cross from time to time?
Sure. Diane is really one of the first gals that who's the president of the association here, and
correct,
the Diane Beck team. Diane gave me a chance on a project a few years ago, and when someone like Diane sends you up to bat for her, you want to do good plus. And I was able to meet, I think, her hopes and her clients' expectations, and Diane got to know that she could trust me sight unseen. She had a client that needs the items liquidated, and she trusted me. I think the first encounter was it was just going to try the luck, and I came good. And Diane Beck and the Diane Beck team have been good to me up here in Missoula. I'm actually an affiliate member of the Bitterroot Valley Board of Realtors.
Gotcha.
The Missoula Organization of Realtors. I'm merely a service. I'm a cog to a larger situation, and I understand that. And my template, my business template is I can make myself up every week. I'm just a part of a whole, and my job is to stay out of the way of the adults. So, as it were, I always say, I'm the dime guy working for the dollar ladies, and I'm cool with that. Yeah. 80% of what I do is reference. Of the reference, It is private individuals. They know me, just word of mouth in Western Montana.
Yeah.
Then realtors, then attorneys, and occasionally banks and trust companies. That's where the reference and connections with professionals come along. Realtors and attorneys are my lion's share of professionals that use me as a service to their clients. And the other 20% is open up the internet, see my fancy website, and away we go.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Marty Bell, who has Blue Jay Estate Sales. Oh, also, want to say thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every weekend on News Talk KGVO. They are Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Marty, your marketing platform, how do you get the word out that you have an estate sale coming up?
Good question. After me and the client think that we can, have a good relationship together, this is what happens. Marketing in all three papers, Missoulian, Bitterroot Star, River Valley, hard copy online editions, Craigslist, Facebook. But really the marketing is my website. I have 1,200 plus folks on the newsletter, the email newsletter. Every Sunday night, I hit the magic button. Out goes the newsletter to remind them. All the marketing has my website. It drives back to the website where the pictures and maps can show up. And a lot of folks just, they keep an eye on the paper, or they tell me they don't read the paper. They just keep checking back on the internet. It's kind of that Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
And so the website drives everything. So we leave no stone unturned in terms of street signage. We have directional signs. Day of the sale, we'll put up a street sign, the classic, foldable sandwich board. But honestly, that's probably 0.1% of what we do. Again, it's the paper marketing and the website. Trust me, at almost 400 sales, I can tell you, I can break down these numbers 8 ways to Sunday. But the website is really so critical, and the email list of 1,200 folks.
And I'm sure you have some stories to tell. What are some of the more interesting or unique collections of items for which you've conducted estate sales?
You kind of threw that out to me in an email when we were first putting this together, and I thought about those, and I can guarantee it. As you drive home, you'll remember the best ones. You'll tell your steering wheel, or 3 a.m. you will think of the good ones. But the 3 or 4 that I thought of, the very first sale we did, and this was kind of a tale of things to come. The very first sale, so a family had passed. Some distant relatives came to settle the affairs, and they said, "Oh, by the way, there's a pile in this Quonset hut from Butte, Montana. We don't know these people." So it ended up, the pile, as they called it, in the Quonset hut, the very first sale was from a very famous family in Butte, a historical family that had kind of fallen off the radar. Hugh Cummings, just beyond the Marcus Daly area. Cummings was a famous business person over there. Okay. And we sort of got his history back to the light of day. And we always felt that he was a very successful businessman in Phillipsburg, Anaconda, Butte. We always felt that if we got his story out, he would take care of us if we got his story out there to the world again. In that collection were some very rare memorabilia from the Polar Bear Expedition, which is a very rare, just post-World War I, American military. I went over to actually help the Bolsheviks fight the Red Army in Siberia, a very rare campaign with not much memorabilia. We were able to get museum pieces to Vladivostok, Russia over there from that. So that first sale was kind of a harbinger. Did a sale once where the sale brought, and I hate to talk about numbers, the sale brought a few thousand, but the lady had a vase, a Limoges vase hand-painted by a famous artist in Chicago. The vase sold for $100 more than the entire estate, and they were surprised they had that in there. That was kind of fun. Did a bunch of barn find classic automobiles in St. Regis. Literally a 56 T-bird, the kind of barn find when there's actual bird droppings on the cars because they were found in the barn.
Yeah.
56, I think it was a 56 T-bird with 3-speed, a rare 3-speed. People from 3 states in Canada came for that. There was a Studebaker in there, Carmen Gia. something else, but just covered in hay and honestly, bird droppings. And it was truly a barn find sale. That was kind of fun. And I'm trying to think of another famous one. But yeah, those two come to mind.
Definitely stand out. How is pricing set for Blue Jay estate sales? How do you set up your pricing?
Oh, here you go. When I'm pricing a sale, and this is kind of the brass tacks, I price it to sell. And here's my psychology. Having been a picker at a sale, having been an attendant at estate sales, I tell my clients, I said, look, we are going to price this to sell. We're not going to overprice it because folks have been at work all day. They don't want to come and fight some knucklehead like me, an estate sale guy, with high prices. They don't want to haggle and dicker. They want to buy their stuff, have a great time, have a laugh, and go home. So I price it fairly so that the client can win, make some money, get their stuff gone. The buyers can feel they won. And if that works, then Blue Jay will be successful. So I don't set a high pain threshold, then try to walk that back over 3 days, because your most motivated buyers show up the first night.
Yeah.
And if you overprice it for them, you've destroyed goodwill. And that's so critical. Last week, Marty had fair prices. The event was fast and fun. So that was goodwill. They came this week to this person's sale, bringing that goodwill with him. And hey, Marty, again, the prices were fair. I didn't have to fight Marty after a crummy day at work, and we had a laugh, and it was fast and furious. So it is priced correctly to sell. Again, we talked at the beginning, if folks are really worried about it emotionally or financially, I don't even fight them to keep it in the sale. You guys keep it. I don't want to be part of the problem.
Sure.
I want to be part of the solution. And by doing correct pricing out of the gate, nobody has more people than a Blue Jay estate sale because of the goodwill concept. Marty's prices were right, and they had a great time.
And your compensation is a percentage, a flat fee? How does it work?
Nine times.
You got to make $1 here and there, don't you?
Yep. To keep the lights on and the wolf from the door.
Sure.
Generally, we run on a commission, just a normal commission. There's no hidden fees. There's no a la carte. You're paying for this and that. We pick a fair number. And I'll walk my clients, as opposed to negotiating across from a table. I always say, let's be on the same side of the table. I'm going to walk you through my commission. This is what Marty's got to pay for to get to his pay deck. Because again, I want them to feel that they understand this business from my side. There's not some gulf of knowledge. And so I walk them through. So 9 times out of 10, it's a commission. Occasionally I'll get like a micro sale. And I'll do a flat fee just to make sure I can cover my cost. And that generally happens on a really small sale. And they'll understand that generally if there's a flat fee involved, it means it's not a very big sale and we're not going to probably produce a big income for them. But I'll adjust my commissions if I'm doing high-end, like high-end vehicles, coins, guns. We will do just 5 or 10% commission, so I don't take all their money on one item. Yeah. And on that, if I get like amazing vehicles, I will generally just do a real quick 5-minute sealed bid auction. So there is an auction component every 4th or 5th sale. If vehicles have a high value, I don't wish to put a ceiling on it.
Yeah.
But we'll do a little sealed bid auction there.
Missoula Real Estate Today has been presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Marty Bell with Blue Jay Estate Sales. And before I let you go, Marty, believe it or not, time is up. How do we get a hold of you and find out more?
Here's how you get a hold of Marty at Blue Jay. BlueJayEstateSales.com.
Blue Jay Estate Sales, got them.
Or 363-1600, my number. Or you could literally Google estate sale, any word salad on your Google search that said estate sale Montana. I'm going to show up by default, and you'll find me through those. And most of the realtors know me in the Bitterroot Valley, and more and more realtors in Missoula using me. I'm up here about 40% of the time in Missoula, 40% of the time in Ravalli, and 20% in the outlying areas.
A pleasure to have you on. Thanks for coming in.
Denny, thank you for your time. And again, thank you to Diane and all the realtors who've given me a chance to be of service to their clients. And I appreciate you guys because you're only as good as the people you're around.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. Contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.